Hello, I'm Carla Mezquita Ramirez, and this is my presentation about the end of the Second World War. First, we had the D-Day that was on June 6 of the 1944, also known as the Normandy invasion, was an important moment in World War II. It when Allied forces, mainly from the United States, the United Kingdom, and Canada, landed on the beaches of Normandy in France. This event signaled the start of the liberation of Western Europe from Nazi control. When did German Nazi collapse and how did it happen? The collapse of the Nazi movement was a blessing to the world. By late 1944 to 1945, Nazis began to face a serious issue. All their forces began to surrender. Besides this brief introduction, I will explain how it happened. First, as we know, Nazis had a domain expansion, which meant they expanded their control beyond Germany. Their camps and torments grew in size and caught the eye of their other nations. During the Nazi peak, the nations United States, United Kingdom, Soviet Union, and China formed an alliance to put an end on German Nazi's war. They were referred to as Allied powers or the Big Four. Also, the Allied powers began a tactic of perpetual bombing of all Germany. They were consistent on the attacks until forcing German Nazi soldiers to retreat and surrender. How did Japan and United States form an alliance? To give a little bit of background information on the matter, Japan and the United States had a major conflict after the unexpected bombing of Pearl Harbor. The event was the turning point of US and led to American forces dropping two atomic bombs onto Japan's major cities. How is it that only 10 years after the devastating events, these two put their differences aside and form an alliance? To put it simply, US was looking to come to an agreement with Japan because they needed help to seize the spread of communism. In order to achieve this, they helped Japan's economy become stable. They also helped hopeless people from Japan build strength by sending military troops to install information on democracy and rewrite the constitution. At last, the US-Japan Mutual Security Treaty was signed in 1951. Japan allowed the US to continue occupying their land after Japan regained sovereignty. Now, the geopolitical order. First, we have the United States that was to prominence as a global economic and military leader. The war had driven its industrial and technological progress, while the country remained mostly unaffected by the widespread devastation that took place in Europe and Asia. Then we have the Soviet Union, that it had endured the majority of the Nazi invasion of the Eastern Front, emerged as the other key power, though at a great cost. It had extended its influence over Eastern Europe, setting up communist governments throughout the region. Now we have the bipolarity of the international relations between the United States and the Soviet Union. First, we have the opposing ideologies. We have the United States championed capitalism, democracy, and free markets. Its foreign policy aimed to promote democratic governance and economic freedom. Then we have the Soviet Union that embraced communism with a state-controlled economy and a one-party system. It sought to spread its socialist ideology globally and believed that the capitalist system was inherently exploitative and unstable. Then we have the Cold War that was between the 1947 to the 1991 and it's a prolonged period of a geopolitical tension between the United States and the Soviet Union with their respective allies, but it never escalated into a directly military confrontation between them. Basically, it was a competition between both about who was the best in various aspects, like the proxy wars, like Vietnam War, uh, the technology, military arms, etc. And they also competed on technology, like the space race. First, the Soviet Union did the launch of Sputnik in 1970, no, 57, and the Yuri Gagarin's journey into space in 1961. But then we have the side of United States that command astronauts on the moon in 1969. And then we have the political and economic blocks. First, we have the Western Bloc, led obviously of United States, include the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, that lies in Western Europe, Canada, and Japan and Australia. Then we have the Eastern Bloc, led by the Soviet Union, included the Warsaw Pact, countries of Eastern Europe, China, until the Sino-Soviet split, and more states of communist. Then here I made my interview to my brother. He's 21 years old. First, he said to me that communism is a classless social system with a form of public ownership of the means of production and with full social equality of all members of society. And then he defined me capitalism as an economic system that is based on private ownership of the means of production and the market freedom. And his general opinion of the Second World War was that he felt that it was good but bad at the same time, because if it hadn't happened, we wouldn't have had so much technological progress. Since the Second World War, many things and medicines were invented, and also bad because all the things that Hitler did, uh, he only like killed people because of their religion, and of course all the deaths that was in the world. And here there are all my references. And with this activity, I take away more knowledge about the Second World War and its outcome. Thanks.